Hi. So, I said there was probably going to be another one of these coming. It feels as though I should say something. There's a lot of people right now blaming Joe Biden again because he chose to pardon his son. Now, I don't know of many people. Matter of fact, I don't know of anyone that would allow their child to undergo unfair treatment when it was within their power to stop it. And that is precisely what Joe Biden actually did. He allowed the investigation on his son to go forward, even though they did that for several years. They investigated him for many years, and all they could come up with were tax problems and lying on a form to get a gun while under the influence of drugs. And people are upset because he pardoned his son. Now, and he had said he wasn't going to. Okay, well, let's think about that for a moment. When he said that he was not going to pardon his son, he still believed in the system being able to work. He believed that either he himself would become president again or Kamala Harris would become president. And she would be favorably disposed to ensure that no harm came to Hunter. We are now at a point where we are dealing with a tyrant. There's no other way to put it. He's a tyrant. He's a bully. And that's all he is. And the reality is this bully has made it abundantly clear that he is going to be mean to anybody that he feels deserves it. That's why I've named some of these videos The Enemy Within. Because that tyrant labeled me and anyone that disagreed with him as an enemy within. I will proudly wear that label every day of the week, twice on Sunday if I have to. I disagree with him. If that makes me an enemy within, gladly. I do not like him. I did not vote for him. I don't think he's capable of doing the job. I didn't think he was capable of doing the job the first time he tried. And failed. Failed. Desperately. Failed. And then, because he was such a pathetic and poor loser, couldn't even be bothered with admitting defeat, had to make life hell for 4 more years. Yelling and screaming about how he actually won. Making all of America pay for his narcissism. And you really think that that kind of an individual would not make things that much worse on Hunter? And his dad would no longer be able to protect him. There's not a doubt in my mind that if he had not received the pardon, Hunter Biden would be put in prison. And in all honesty, I don't think Joe Biden went far enough. I think that there are a lot of people sitting in prison that have committed felony charges of possession of marijuana, possession of drugs. Why? Because they have an addiction. They have an addiction. They should be treated for the addiction. If it comes down to it and is absolutely necessary, yeah, put them under house arrest. But putting them in prison where more than likely any drug problem they have is going to be made worse, or where they're going to be introduced to people that are going to be able to provide more narcotics or other drugs that are illegal and used illegally. It doesn't make sense. And in all honesty, I applaud Hunter Biden's strength. It is not an easy thing to fail your family so badly. Know that you have messed up horribly and pull yourself back up and mend those ties. I know my problem wasn't drugs, but I had other issues that separated me from my family, and I was a real jerk. I had a lot of mending to do. They had a lot of forgiving they did. It's not okay to continually beat on an individual that had actual problems. And that is all that party has done. That is all that the Republicans have done, is beat down an individual that had some very serious issues. Why? Because they're a gang of bullies. Not all of them. I'll tell you right now, I don't think there's any Republicans I respect as much as I respect Adam Kinzinger. The thing that kills me is that they brutalized a man, and he stood strong with his family beside him. He stood strong. And now, because America, some way, somehow, I don't understand how that man got voted into office. I really don't. I really just don't. The only thing I can figure is that there were a lot of people that were, and again, this is a whole nother situation, but there's an awful lot of people out there blaming the black men and the black women for not having stood up and voted. No. Because they did. Black men, black women, they voted for Kamala Harris. They made the right choice. They voted for America. They saw what had been done. And they knew what was coming at us. And they did what needed to be done. The people that are going around saying, oh, well, I expected such and such group to pull us out, and I voted my conscience. Or I didn't vote because I couldn't bring myself to. I'm sorry. If you didn't vote, then your failure to vote is what created this situation. And I'll guarantee to you that whatever they felt was so horrible and so terrible going on, that was just awful, I promise you, they're about to see a whole lot worse. Because if you honestly believe that that tyrant is going to stop Netanyahu from doing whatever he wants over in Gaza, you're nuts. If you honestly think that that wimpy little tyrant is going to stop Putin from doing whatever he wants to Ukraine, Poland, any number of other nations in that area, he doesn't have the strength to. His whole goal right now is to destabilize America. His whole goal is to break America. And he's not doing it for just himself. That's why we're getting these outlandish and aberrant nominations. Not because he actually thinks they can do the job, and not just because they're loyal to him, but because he knows they can't do the job. Because he knows that it will break the bank of America. It will destroy this country. And that is what he hopes to do. He is trying desperately hard to divide America and to destabilize it. And for some reason, Americans are letting him divide us. We now have Democrats blaming other Democrats, blaming Joe Biden because he didn't leave the race soon enough. How dare you? That is awful. Joe Biden went into that office with a list and a set of plans on what it would take to make America better. What it would take to help us reclaim and recover. And we're just now, seeing the benefits of all of the recovery that we're getting, just in time for a tyrant to step in and destabilize it and undo all of the good that has been done in the last 4 years. Other Democrats have been blaming Kamala Harris. Oh, she didn't introduce herself well enough. She didn't do this well enough. She didn't do that well enough. She did everything that needed to be done and more. What bothers me is the double standard by which we live. Why is it so acceptable for one party to accept any number of indiscretions, financially, sexual indiscretions, whatever? And they accept that from their party, from their side. But we have another party that they know what's right and what's wrong. The problem is they're harder on themselves than they ever would be on the other side. Democrats are harder on one another than they will ever be on Republicans. And if Democrats do not start to stand up and truly fight against these organizations, the other party, about what really is true, speaking truth. I mean, of all the things that we should be looking to have from our government should be some level of truth. Instead, we have individuals that are lying about whether hurricane victims are going to receive any kind of aid, or hurricane victims that are going to have their land stolen. What kind of... That is just tyranny. That's bullying. And if you think that is what God wants, you are sorely mistaken. On the level of tyrants, I would say that this individual that is about to become president, I guess, I would say that he's at the level of Herod, and not Herod the Great. Herod. Herod, the man that cheated on his wife, decided to marry his brother's wife, killed most of his sons. That's all in the Bible, too. We'll get to it. But that's the level of tyranny we're looking at. And I don't know why anybody would be okay with it. And I would pray that we would stop blaming each other and begin to understand and recognize that we cannot continue to be this divided. I will see you all in the morning, and I hope that you are kind to one another. Good night.